In this video, we're going to talk about the equipment you need to shoot stock photos that will sell and help you grow your passive income. And I'm going to tell you what I think is the best camera for stock photography. Hi, I'm Logan. Today's episode is all about equipment. Last time I talked about how, where and why to sign up at stock photo agencies as a contributor. Today is about the gear you need to produce the content you'll be uploading to said agencies. I've been doing this full-time for 7 years. I like to think I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. This series is meant to help people who are interested in stock photography. Hopefully you'll be able to take something away from it. If you do, please hit the like button, subscribe, and you'll always know when I'm posting new stuff. So, what's the best camera for stock photography? I'm just going to start out by telling you what cameras I use and what I used to use. So this is my main camera, the Leica M9P. The P is for professional. The only difference between this and the non-pro version is that they've removed the big red Leica dot logo on the pro version. It would usually be there. I think the screen is like scratch proof as well or something like that. But anyway, why do I like it for stock photography? The lenses are absolutely amazing, perfect for daylight. I almost always shoot in natural light. It's great for low light conditions as well. It's light, it's easy to take anywhere, it's discreet if I'm taking photos in places where obtaining a property release might be a matter of opinion or a bit of a grey area. Security guards, people with clipboards, whoever, they're not gonna care. They're just gonna look at me and think that I'm some silly hipster with my granddad's camera. Now on the other hand, if I was in the same situation with the other camera I used to have in conjunction with this one, pull this out of your camera bag in a crowded place and you'll have people to the right of you asking for permits and people to the left of you trying to steal it. So this is the Pentax 645, which is a medium format camera. What that means is that the sensor is bigger than that of a full frame camera like the Leica. A bigger sensor captures more information. This is 51.4 megapixels. This is 18 megapixels. Because this sensor is bigger, the pixels are also going to be bigger and give you a more soft, less noisy image than on a smaller sensor. As I've mentioned before, noise is an instant rejection by the reviewers when you're submitting stock images. With the Pentax camera, I could shoot at 1000 ISO and still get an image that's suitable for stock as well. So I sold this camera recently and I'm now using the Sony a7R4, which is also quite big, and it's a camera that will attract a lot of attention. I'm just going to say a few more things about ISO, if you don't know what it is, what it means. Quick explanation: if you're shooting in low light, one thing you often need to do is up your ISO. On a sunny day, your ISO is good at 100. As it gets darker, or if you go inside, you need a higher ISO. Shooting at nighttime in fluorescent light, 600 ISO is probably the minimum you need. Now that's great, you can shoot at night without using a flash and not get any camera shake. Because another thing ISO does is that it allows you to keep your shutter speed fast. But every time you increase your ISO, you add grain and you add noise to your image, which might be great for gritty street photography, but completely unacceptable for stock photography. If you've ever taken a photo at night on your phone, it might look great at first, but on closer inspection you might see that it's looking a bit greenish and pixelated. That's because of the ISO automatically going up. It'll be the same if you're using your camera in full auto mode, as it's probably going to set a ridiculously high ISO for you as soon as it starts getting dark. So that's another reason for not using auto mode. So these are the two cameras I've been using for the last 5 years, the Leica M9 Professional and the Pentax 645. As you may have guessed, they are high-end and quite expensive. Do you need cameras like these? Absolutely not. I first started stock photography using a Canon EOS 550D, known in North America as the Rebel T2i. It's an 18 megapixel crop sensor camera released in 2010. I bought mine in 2012, used for just under 200 pounds, so roughly about $275. Some of my best selling images were taken with this camera. I still sell images taken with that camera. I sell images taken with that camera on a daily basis, in fact. So what's the best camera for stock photography? It depends. On what? Lots of things. What's your shooting style? Are you just starting out? Do you already have a camera? What's your budget if you don't? What's your niche? This is a very important one. I'll be talking about that in the next episode. So I'll just throw you a few scenarios. Say that you want to do landscapes, something like the Pentax I had. That's ideal. It would give you a competitive edge for sure. Huge sensor, weatherproof body, amazing color science. This is ideal for landscape photography. Definitely the kind of thing you want to go for. Do you want to take pictures of really small things? Insects, jewelry, watches? You need a camera that will take some good macro lenses. If you want to do editorial, the best camera might be in your pocket right now. Being at a newsworthy event, as it's happening, is often more important than a lot of the technical aspects of stock photography. And a smartphone, in many ways, is ideal. It shoots a high-res image in various lighting conditions without you needing to mess around with a bunch of different settings first. You'll have access to all your stock agencies right there on your phone through their apps or your browser, and you can keyword and upload them straight away. If you're going to do travel photography, just go for something else that's really light and easy to carry around. Probably a mirrorless camera if you can afford it. The prices of those have really come down a lot lately, and I think they're gonna completely replace DSLR soon. So I'll say this again, the best camera for stock photography, it's really up to you. Once you get started and grow as a stock photographer, or photographer in general, I'm still learning, you get a better sense of what you need and what you don't need. What's suitable for your style and what you think will help you produce better work. If you're just starting out and need something that's good for all-around stock photography and not too expensive, you just need to meet the minimal technical requirements of the stock agencies. Here it is. Minimum image resolution, 4 megapixels. That's it. That's the standard for most of the major agencies. Of course, that's subject to change. They may change the minimum requirements at any time, so the more the merrier is probably best. Today, pretty much every entry-level camera captures at least 18 megapixels anyway. I would always recommend a full-frame sensor as well, but there's no need for that if you can't afford it. Just go for a crop sensor. Now, I know some of you are just dying for some actual camera suggestions, so I'll quickly give you a couple of options that I think look pretty good on paper. So these are suggestions for beginners starting stock photography without spending too much cash. First up, the Sony A7. It's an old camera. It was released in 2013, the year I first started doing stock photography. I remember I really wanted one, but I couldn't afford it. This was new technology at the time and really expensive for someone starting out. So the Leica M9, that was the world's first full-frame mirrorless digital camera. The Sony A7 was the second, the first with autofocus, and it just ticks all the boxes for stock photography. It's light, it's got a good selection of lenses. Sony lenses are really good. It's got a 24 megapixel sensor. Right now it's just under $1,000, £600 here in the UK, which is pretty decent. Or if you have a little more to spend, there's the brand new Sony a6600, which I'm currently using as my B cam over here. Another camera I've heard good things about. I haven't tried using one of these myself yet, but again, this one ticks all the boxes for stock photography and it's a lot cheaper than the Sony. It's the Canon Rebel T100, or 4000D as it's also known. This is one of the cheapest DSLR cameras that Canon has ever released, currently retailing at around $300. And from what I can see, it looks cheap. It has a plastic lens mount, which is a first. Cropped sensor, but that doesn't really matter. If you're just starting out and you've never used a DSLR before, this might just be the perfect camera to start with. So that's your camera sorted. What else do you need? Again, that all depends on what you want to do. Everyone will need a computer, a subscription to Lightroom and Photoshop or something similar. Lots of hard drive space to store your raw images. Always shoot RAW. I'll talk more about that in part 4. If you're shooting landscapes, a good sturdy tripod, filters to suit different lighting and weather conditions, a camera that's weather sealed. Speaking of filters, a variable neutral density filter is probably one of the most valuable items in my camera bag, as it allows me to shoot with the lens wide open in bright daylight. I almost always use a shallow depth of field. There are different reasons for why I do this. I just like the way it looks. I think it's a good look. And for stock photography, it blurs out any logos, property or identifiable people in the background. If you're doing wildlife, you're gonna need some telephoto lenses. Same with sports. Being able to shoot several frames per second is a must here as well. So you'd want that from your camera. For any type of photography that you'll be doing indoors, still life, portrait, lifestyle, interiors, you're gonna need some strobes. So you might think to yourself, what's all this gonna cost me? What's the initial expense getting started in stock photography? Not a lot. Not a lot. My ultimate advice here is to just start with the best camera you can afford right now and nothing else. Just see where that takes you. At the end of the day, creating quality, in-demand content, that's the most important thing if you want to make money from stock photography. You can do that with any equipment. And that's what the next video is about. Shooting what sells by researching your market and finding your niche. See you there.